Hello and welcome to The Print. This is Priya Gulati, and today we have with us filmmaker Rohan Kanawade. Rohan, before I start my questions, I'll quickly give a brief to our audience, to our viewers. Rohan's recent film, Sabar Bonda, has been creating chatter at international film festivals. To give you a quick listicle, um, it has won the World Cinema Grand Jury Prize at Sundance Film Festival 2025, making it the first Indian fiction feature to do so. Notably, it was the only Indian film at the Sundance Film Festival this year from the 87 selected across the 33 countries. It also won Best Feature Film Award at the inaugural Essex SW London 2025. It received accolades such as the Audience Award for Best Narrative Feature at Inside Out 2025, among other honors. It's a huge list, and if we get into that, I think our entire interview will go into covering all the applause your film has received. So, Rohan, once again, welcome to The Print. Uh,
Thank you.
Before we talk about the nuances, the detailing of this beautiful queer love story, my first question is that what is the story behind this name? How did you thought about it?
So basically, Sabar Bonda is a name of a fruit that comes on cactus. And this name is used only in the region where my roots are, near Shirdi and Nagar. And so basically, when we think of cactus, we think of harsh landscapes, right? And in that landscape, cactus grows and survives. Many people don't know that it also has this fruit on it, and this fruit is really thorny from outside, but if you can take the thorns out and reach to the flesh of it, it's really tender, juicy, and it also has medicinal quality because some farmers in India also cultivate cactuses to sell the fruit to the pharma companies. So and I thought that the two characters in the film go through the hardships and societal pressure, but they want to stay true to themselves. And that when they are around people, they are really that stiff people because everyone is pressuring them to get married. But when they are together with each other, they really share this tender moments, and they're really that delicate with either each other, and there's this love that blossoms between them. And I thought fruit also has this bright red color, which we associate with love. And so
Yeah.
I thought, these things might work, and that's why I thought this name should be the name of the film.
And where did this story idea? When did the story idea come to you? When was the first time you thought that I want to make this queer love story that is set up in a rural, in rural India?
So I didn't have any such thoughts that I want to make a queer film, a queer love story, or let's just say love story between two men that is set in a rural area. That was not the thought. Basically, when my father passed away in 2016, and I had to go to my village to grieve the loss and perform all the rituals for 10 days, there everyone was just talking about my marriage. That was
Okay.
claustrophobic, and the pressure was, at times I was so angry with that question because every day there were people who were coming to meet us, and they only had that, oh, you're 30 and you're still unmarried, you should get married. And they were like making plans, like, they, we have this relative's daughter, you want to go and see her and this and that, and now you have to get married as soon as possible, your mother is alone. And it was so claustrophobic. And apparently it's not only me, I think many heterosexual men also feel the same pressure, like today's men and even women. They don't
Yeah.
want to get married, they have different aspirations, and so they also don't go and meet their relatives, not even in Mumbai. Even if they have some relative, they don't go to villages for the similar reason. And that was happening, and I was like, how, what should I do? And I was only then staying quiet, enduring that pressure. But that thought, I had this thought that, what if I had a friend in this village? I would have just sneaked out with him for a while and stayed away from this pressure. And that escape, the thought of escape stayed with me. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea for a film. I can actually use this and, craft a romance drama during this grieving period, I feel. And that's how my brain
How
started
long?
working.
How long did it take you to write the project and complete it?
So see, I mean, this thought came to me in 2016, and since 2016 till 2020, I was toying with the idea. And also that after toying with this idea for 4 years, I realized this idea stuck with me, so I have to now write it. And during those 4 years, there were so many images about the film or notes that I was making in my head, and my head was saturated in 2020 with those things, and then it forced me to sit and write. So first draft actually took 3 weeks to write, but after that I kept rewriting and rewriting, and whenever I rewrite, I rewrite the whole script again. So I
Oh,
made
okay.
10 drafts of actual script. And before the shoot, I also did my own storyboard. So all the images that you see in the film, I drew them on paper. So when I was doing the storyboard, it was almost like I was doing another draft of the screenplay, but in visual format. So
Okay.
the writing. I started writing in 2020, and we started shooting in 2023 November.
Mm-hmm.
So I started writing in 2020 November, and we started shooting in 2023 November. So that was the period where we were also working on the other aspects of the film, but I was continuously writing because in that period I was also applying to the labs and market, and we were going to the labs and market. So writing was on throughout the time.
I think bringing producers on board for a project like this is a daunting task. How did you convince your producers to put their money in this project?
So first of all, my main producer Neeraj Churi, he's a friend, and we have worked together on a short film. And since then, he was also interested in making a feature film together. So when I wrote this and I shared the script with him, he was interested. He wanted to do it. And then we have other friends as well, Mohammad Kaki from Canada and Kaushik Rai from UK, and they are also friends, and we shared it with them. They were also interested, so they were also part of the film since then. And we were also reaching out to a few more people in the industry, but none of them were like, no, we are not looking something. I
Yeah,
mean, we are not.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so there were no one was giving us the finance. And finally, of course, Mohammad Kaki was he gave us some finance. Because of that, in 2020, when we started doing our casting process and our location reiki, so that started happening in 2020 because of Mohammad. And then because these are friends, they know my filmmaking, and they were interested in this film. Finally, only these three people gave us the funds to shoot the film. And yeah, so it was completely privately funded, and all these people are originally Indian men who gave us the fund. So it's completely Indian funded film, privately funded film. And during the post production, Naren Chandavarkar and Siddharth Mir also came on board as a producer, and Naren is also the sound designer of the film, Naren and Anirban,
Okay.
and Siddharth Mir is the colorist. So they came on board and they helped us during the post production, and they also became the producer of the film. So in a uh, largely film is funded by Indian people only, and privately funded. Yeah.
Queer love stories in Marathi cinema is not like very heard of. So, did you when you actually thought about making this film, did you have those that initial skepticism? Did producers tell you that maybe you're taking the wrong path, maybe you should rethink, like maybe the audience won't receive it that well?
No, we were not thinking about that. And we knew that other will think like this. We were not thinking like that. We wanted to
Right,
make what we wanted to make.
right,
But yeah, we knew that is why we were not getting support from anyone else. But we
right.
wanted to make it. And uh, when Naren and Sid joined, they just saw my pitch at co-production market, and this is something. Forget about queer love. We are dealing about queer love story, whatever. But the way this story is, the way the story was, they loved that part, and they thought this is
Yeah.
really nice. No matter it's a queer story or what, but the storytelling and the story idea and the way I wanted to do it, that was interesting to everyone, and that is why whoever who came to be part of this film, they came on board for that reason. Where part of it was completely different thing, but how are we telling the story, how are we telling this, developing this love story, or how are we approaching it technically, all
Mhm.
those were something those interesting things actually attracted all these people to be part of it. So no one was really worrying about, oh, we are trying to do something different or anything. Everyone was on board that we are trying to do something interesting in terms of its technical, like visuals, sound design, the performances for that matter, the kind of performances I wanted from my actors. That was interesting for them and challenging for them, and that is why they came on board. They didn't really care about, oh, we are going to play a queer character. They were not
A
really
queer
worried
character,
about
yeah.
that. They were worried about, the kind of performances I needed. They were worried about that, we should be really giving him that. So that was the
Right.
uh, fascinating part for everyone and for me as well, that how I'm going to treat it and how I'm going to achieve that vision of this film that I had, how I'm going to achieve that. That was interesting for everyone.
If we talk about the protagonist, Anand, his journey, how similar or different is his journey from your individual journey?
Completely, other than the fact that my parents accepted me and I had to go to the village for 10-day grieving. That is the only similarity in the character, because that's how I got inspired to tell the
Right.
story. So 90% film, which is the love story, it's completely fiction.
Will it be right to say that the 90% of the film is something that you wanted for yourself, but you did not get? So that's why it's sort of channeled into this film.
No, I wanted, in a way. I have a partner. I have a partner since 2014. So, when my father passed away, he didn't come to the village because he works in a corporate. So he was here. So
Right.
I was thinking about a friend, not some love interest. I was thinking, if I had a friend over here and he knew about my sexuality and everything, I would have just sneaked out and stayed away from this pressure. Only that part I wanted. But then I realized, oh, but what if this character meets this friend, and there's some uh, bond develops between them, because I always wanted to make a love story, and I thought, this idea can give me the chance to incorporate that love story, and
Right.
I can create something that feels more organic, and the kind of love story that we usually see in the films. And that's, I
Mhm.
used to think, when I was a kid, that I used to really think, when I used to watch this Bollywood love story, that, okay, when I grow up and if I fall in love, I have to really then sing and dance. And I used to get so scared about all of those things. I use that in the film as well. But then I later on realized that's not how love is. When you fall in love, that's not how it feels. It's really different. And so I
Yeah.
thought, so then I can make a love story that feels more real, how you really spend time with a partner when you're falling in love and stuff like that. So I thought I can really create my own version of a love story that is set during this grieving period. So all of those things started coming to into the film.
Right. Another interesting aspect for me in the film was that how Anand's parents were okay, despite, his father being a chauffeur, his mother being a homemaker. And they come from, we still feel that, in urban settings, it's parents are more open to these conversations and they're more accepting. But in rural settings, you don't really think about that kind of, what do you say, understanding from parents. Uh, and it was a beautiful thing. So how did you, again, was it something that you experienced in your life? How did your parents react when you came out to them for the first time?
So first thing, I grew up in Mumbai. Since my child, I was born and brought up in Mumbai. My father grew up in Mumbai. So we are from Mumbai. We don't consider us, our roots are there, but we don't have anything in the village other than our relatives. We don't even have our home there. Our home is
Right.
here. So, but yesterday someone asked me, is it because of the city that your parents accepted? Then is it because of the city that you got a courage to come out to your parents? I said no. I don't think it's a city, because I know so many people, even in Mumbai, or for that matter, even in New York, who are not open to their families.
Right.
What the difference is, that actually the parents are the difference. My parents love me, and they created that safe space for me to even share something so personal and scary, because all the coming out story that I had heard had that struggle and trauma and tragedy, and I was scared. But my father, when he noticed that I was very sad because of I had a breakup, so I was sad. Of course, my father didn't know that, but he noticed that I'm really sad and something is off, and he urged me to speak. And I said, no, you will not understand. And he said, but until and unless you speak, you share your heart, how will I know what is going on? And when you will tell me, then only I will also understand if I can help you or no, right? But
Hmm.
before that, you have to share. And that's when I shared with him. And but I was so scared that I couldn't say things. So I just showed him the picture of me and my partner in each other's arms. And he just said that, what, is he your friend? And I said, no, he's more than a friend. And he gave me my phone back and he said, okay, if you know about yourself, that's most important. And it was just that. And he said, so you don't have to get married to any girl. It's okay, don't get married. And it was just that. And then that's when I told him, he got married because he couldn't tell his parents. I don't want to do that. And he's like, yeah,
Ah,
it's completely fine. And it was just that was just a 2 minute conversation and everything was okay. And then I realized that it is simply the love that he had for his son, and also the wisdom to understand what is the right thing to do in this situation, which is to let him be or let him live the way he wants to. And I realized my father was always that person, because the story that you hear in the film about father and mother's marriage, that is the
yeah.
story of my parents' marriage. So I realized my father was always like that. He was always that person who understood what is the right thing to do. And that is why when I heard that story when I was a kid, but when my father accepted me, I realized, okay, he is like that. Education or this city didn't make him like that. I mean, although
Hmm.
he didn't study, he couldn't finish his school, but some this wisdom, I think, is always in the person. Education doesn't give you any wisdom or understanding of life, because otherwise some of my friends who are come from rich backgrounds, their parents are highly educated, they would have accepted their kids, but they didn't. So it's person, it's his or her nature, that is it. And I same with my mom. When I told my mom, she also accepted me without any problems. And then I realized, as an illiterate woman like her, who grew up in a small village and came to the city only after her marriage, if she can understand and accept me, why do we always see this struggle all the time, and why do we complicate these things when it is so simple, that this love that my parents had for me, that allowed them to accept me the way I am. And I thought this positive aspect needs to be portrayed on the screen, because we are
Right.
only showing the struggle and the process of acceptance and all. But sometimes it is this simple. And I know so many of my friends whose parents accepted them without any problems. And I'm like, when are we going to see this side? So
Right.
that is why all of that came into the picture. And so I think even in rural parts, as you were asking me the question, apparently, when I was writing the film, I was also speaking to some kids, and I realized that even in really remote parts of Maharashtra, in really small villages, some of the kids came out to their parents who are farmers, or not some rich farmers also, just someone who
Yeah.
can barely earn through their farming and make living. They have accepted their kids in those parts. Problem is, we never hear these stories, and people think, oh, people in villages don't understand anything, they have no idea, only in cities acceptance happen. But apparently in cities there is so many stories that acceptance didn't happen. So I think it's, and all of this thing human, it's all about being human. Just the way I said, the wisdom is in the human. Sexuality is also human and natural. So you find sexuality also in any part of the world, in any strata of the society. And that's what I wanted to show. So I didn't want to really show city side or rural side. I really wanted to portray people, how understanding people can really make a difference, no matter you're in the city or in the village.
What was your mom's reaction to this project?
She already knew that I'm writing this, because so many of the details came from her as well. Like, most important detail, because I was not going to my villages, so I didn't really have any uh, understanding of many things. So one of those things was, farmers are not getting married in the villages, because the women are very highly educated and they don't want to marry farmers. They want a city-based husband or office-going, people. And and that happened because my mom said that, this person is getting married and I have to go. And I was like, why? I mean, because that was pandemic time. We were just coming out of pandemic. And
Right.
I was like, why? Just tell them that, I can't travel because of all these restrictions and all. I don't want
Yeah.
to travel. She's like, no, 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 I have to go because he found someone after a long time. I'm like, why? What happened? And then that's when she told me that, farmers are not getting married. So he was not finding a bride for a very long time. Otherwise,
Okay.
my cousin, who was a vet, he got married when he was 21. And this other cousin who didn't find anyone till he was 30, or, I think he was like 32 or something by that time. So
Hmm.
that was like, oh, okay. And that's when I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And I can really use this for Baya's character,
Yeah.
that Baya is unmarried because he's a farmer. And that actually works for him because he really can't come out to his family. But,
Yeah.
this women rejecting him because he's a farmer is actually working for him, that,
For
without
him.
saying anything, he can stay
Exactly.
unmarried. So,
Right.
those things also came from my mother. So many things she used to always share. So she already knew what I'm making. But
No,
when
but
we
the
finished it,
final
and
project, I'm sure she must have seen the
that's
final
what.
film.
So when she saw the film for the first time, it was in the post production stage. It was not still finished. She
Okay.
saw it. She was, of course, crying at certain sequences because she knows the backstory and everything. And but she was upset about just one thing. She was upset about one thing, which was, she was like, but your niece and nephews will not get to see this film, no, because she knew that this is going to get a certificate, and she was upset because of that reason. Because this, my niece and nephew, they knew I was shooting the film. They were coming on the set sometimes, and so they just want to see the film, right? But
Yeah.
they, oh yeah, because they can't see. Maybe when he my nephew is now almost 15, so maybe in next few years he will get to see the film. So she was upset about that thing. Otherwise, she really liked the film.
How does it feel that one of your project that focuses on queer life, so it's like a double attachment to to a film, and it has done so well, it has won so many awards internationally. How do you feel about it?
I think
What are the
that
emotions, what are the emotions that you are going through after this huge success of the project?
see, I mean, of course, it feels amazing and dreamlike. But what I'm most happy about is all of this recognition is giving us the chance to put this film out in front of the audience in the theater. That is the most uh, happiest thing I'm experiencing right now, because, first of all, making films is a challenge, and making an independent film becomes a even bigger challenge. Then you have the sexuality in it, then to और ही बड़ा challenge हो
Yeah.
जाता है. And then for that matter, I would also add that some people were saying, why are you making a Marathi film? Then you will not get that kind of a support. Make it in Hindi and all. But I wanted to make a Marathi film. That was another challenge. Um, then somehow when we made the film, we had to go through another challenge of going to the festival. We were not sure if we will get a world premiere at any big festival, but I wanted that with my film always, that whenever I make my first feature, I wanted to have world premiere at those A-list festivals. Somehow that happened, and we won Sundance, and I'm happy because of that. And that is now taking film everywhere, and it is getting released in US as well. It's getting released in Europe as well, and now it's getting released in India as well. That's the best thing I think that could
So
happen to any filmmaker.
initially, when the film was ready, when you were taking it to international film festivals, you were not confident that you would want to release it in India, pan
I
India.
wanted to do it, but I was not sure that will happen, because it's a big struggle. Getting
Yeah.
independent film released is a big struggle. I always wanted to do it since even my short film released in the theater. So of
Yeah.
course, and even when I was making short films, I used to tell my crew, even if we are making short film, that doesn't mean that we are making it for small screen. You have to think about big screen only. So when we are framing, or when we are doing the sound, all of this is for big screen. And my short film also released in the theater. So when you are making a feature, that's the ultimate goal, to the going to the
Yeah.
theater. It's
Yeah.
the difficulties of today's time, that I was not too sure. Oh, hoga nahi hoga, because most of the time you hear that only, right, from independent filmmakers, that they don't get the theatrical,
Yeah.
they don't find distributors and this and that. So that's why we were a bit, we were doubting it will happen. We know what we are making is what we wanted to make, and somewhere we have achieved it, because we were showing the film to people, and they were really liking it. And when Sundance selected, we knew, okay, yeah, what we were trying to do was right. And only thing that, but how do we go to the regular audiences? Will that ever happen? And when will that happen? How much time it will take for that? But thankfully, Rana sir's team saw the film before Sundance, and they were
Okay.
always interested in it. And I was just hoping that their interest should continue, and they should come on board and pick this film and distribute it. I was just hoping that to happen, and finally that happened. So that's why I'm like really really happy.
So
Yeah.
did Rana Dagbati speak to you regarding the project? What was his reaction to this?
I mean, we had a trailer launch, so I met him in person and we spent the whole day together giving interviews. So he was
Mhm.
also speaking a lot about the film and what he thought about the film. So, what I
No,
think, what we were.
those are like, see, those are like, when you're interacting with media, you say certain things, but those raw emotions come when you watch it and the director or the filmmaker is right next to you, and your first reaction that comes. What was that like from
See,
Rana?
I think, and if this film wouldn't have resonated with him, even though his team liked it, he would have always said, "Sorry, I don't want to do it. It's not. I don't want to do it." But he
Right.
went ahead and said he wants to do it. That says that he really liked it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it because we were reaching out to so many other people also. They were not interested in it at all. But he said he wants to do it. That shows that he really that resonated. The film resonated with him. And we spoke when he came for the trailer launch. So of course, when we met for the first time, he of course shared what he felt, and my
Yeah.
mom was there, so he was even so happy to meet my mom, because what the mother, he kept saying since the beginning, and that's what his team also said, Rana really liked the mother son equation. That was something that he had not seen in cinema, and he kept
Yeah.
saying this is the best mother that I have seen in cinema. So he said that also when he met me, and my mother was standing right next to me, so he met her. So we did speak about it, and he said the same things to me what he said on in the interviews. Otherwise he wouldn't have been there the whole day to talk to the press, because he also feels that this film needs to go in front of the audience, and lot people needs to watch this film. That is why he's also investing himself in it and doing all this interview,
Mhm.
doing all the meetings with us, even
Mhm.
internally. So I think that happened because it resonated with him. Why not? Why even that? I met Nagraj sir yesterday. Finally, he saw the film. Now he's also on board as an EP, and he was speaking to me about the film, and he said that it's been a long time I saw something like this in Marathi cinema. And
Oh wow.
it didn't matter, it was a love story between two men. But it was such an organic and such a realistic and such an honest relationship that I was seeing, developing on the screen, even with mother, that he forgot everything and he was just immersed in all the emotions. And that's what we were trying to do. And I think all the people who have come on board to support the film, they have come on board for that honesty, I think, and that sincerity.
What is that one message you would want to give to the audience? Because, of course, this interview will get released before the release of the film. So, any message you want to give that if they go and watch your film, with what perspective they should go, what should they expect from the film? Any message?
The simple thing that I want audience to know, that we tried to make a film about human connections. And there are universal themes in the film, which is people have experienced losing parents or losing family members, so we know the grief. We have experienced grief. It's about grief, it's about connection with your parents, it's about falling in love. No matter you're falling in love with a girl or a boy or what, but falling in love, that feeling is similar, same for everyone. It feels really nice when you fall in love. So it's about that. And it's a tender film about this whole experience. I mean, when you think about grieving period, it's usually associated with sadness. But I didn't want to make a film about sadness. I wanted to make a tender film about that time and about finding someone in that time, because we are so vulnerable at that time. And if we find that, love from someone, if you get, then it's a nice feeling, and it's about that. So, and it's I just wanted to make a love story that feels organic. And thankfully people who have seen the film as of now, they have come and told me that please don't promote it as a queer film. We just saw it as a love story. This is the way Nagraj sir was saying yesterday. People
Okay.
said that we just saw it as a love story. It didn't matter that they were two men. but the way that bond was developing, that was so heartening to see. And the relationship with the mother, that was so heartening. The relationship with the father, even though the father was is not there in the film, but what we
Yeah.
hear, and in the grieving period, you always revisit the memories of that person, right? And you
Yeah.
discover that person again and again and again, and that is happening. So people got to know the father also through the film, and
Yeah.
all those things made them so emotional. Like yesterday at FTI, this student, she said, I have gone through all of this and I don't have a brother. So when my father passed away in COVID, me and my sister had to do all of these things, and there were pressure from people, their family, that, oh lady, women don't do all of these things, but we wanted to do all of those things and we did all of those things, and so they're connected with this. So there is this connection to the lived experiences, and the way I got experience, inspired from my lived in experience to craft something like this. I'm sure many of us will connect it in connect with different parts of the film because they might have experienced those. So for that reason, and that simple tenderness and that simplicity of life and relationship, I think people should watch it for that reason. And now we know that all these big filmmakers are supporting it. They're supporting it. They really liked it, and I hope that their fans will come to the theater to watch it. And
Right.
I just hope Indians experience this film in the cinema, because I think the world really loved it, even though this is such a specific story about specific customs and culture. But
Yeah.
even international audience resonated with it. So I think Indian audience will resonate it with even more, I think.
No,
So I think
I'm sure they will, and we can't wait to have the film in theaters soon. Thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you so much for speaking to the print.
it's releasing on
Just
19th September in Indian cinemas. So please watch it in the cinemas.